started to integrate the trade unions, and the trade union they were trying to integrate was Pipe Fitters Union 597 over on Madison Avenue, Madison and Ogden, and it's still not integrated actually, and you have a lot of complaints coming out of that union hall. So the reality here is, that tickles me, is that they broke into Art's suite, these union members, and there were like 4,000 or 5,000 people underneath his window saying, "Throw him out, throw him out." So Art gets on the phone. He calls President Nixon, and Nixon, this is Art. Art was my political godfather. So Art's telling the story. Mm-hmm. He said, "I'm on the phone with Dick Nixon." Dick Nixon picks up the phone, says, "Art, wait a minute." He says, he tells his secretary to call Richard Daley. He said, get Dick Daley on the phone. So he got Daley on the phone. He said, the president said, "Hey, Dick, this is Dick Nixon. And I got a man in your town. His name is Art Fletcher. I expect him in my office tomorrow without a scratch on his body. If there is, I will have the 101st Airborne marching down State Street Saturday morning. Do you understand?" And he said he could hear Daley screaming over the phone, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir." Yeah. And so Art said he looks out of the window before he could get off the phone.
Art was the safest guy. Art was the safest guy in the city of Chicago at that point. Right?
So Art said he looks out the window and the crowd just disperses. 5,000 people just disperse. See, that's a real president. That's real power. But Daley has held this city, and he's held black people in subjugation for over 60, almost 70 years. And these black politicians and black people continue to perpetuate the subjugation.
Okay, so let me give you another answer.
Okay,
since you asked me the question. You said, "Jeff, I want answers, no questions."
Roll with it, Jeff.
And the second answer is the Mothers Against Senseless Killings mask, and two of these moms were just killed Friday night. Instead of standing on the corner of 75th and Stewart at 10 p.m. on a Friday night, why don't they go over to the city hall, the mothers who are still survived and left, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and say they want to talk to the mayor and see what she's going to do about making their area safe?
Well, I told you what you have to do in order to make these areas safe. And that is, you have to kill the gang members, and you can't wait for them to commit crimes. You have to identify them and execute them. That's what has to be done. They have to be eradicated from the community. They're but terrorists.
But the law doesn't allow you to kill people.
Well, let me say this. Hey, hold
at
the
moment,
stop,
you don't
stop,
have.
Stop.
You have not made a case against
wait a minute,
them,
wait
so
a minute,
you can convict
wait a
them.
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, stop. I don't want to hear that crap. At the end of the day, they executed Fred Hampton. They killed off Black Panthers all over the country. So don't tell me what's illegal and what people can't do. They do what they want to do. The Black Panther Party was not.
We don't do that anymore. We don't do that.
They do. They do do it. They do. Yes, they do.
We don't do that.
Yes, they do.
Have a state's attorney who goes killing people.
Yes, they do. And all your stuff is bogus. The bottom line is they killed off the Black Panther Party because the Black Panther Party was cutting in the graft. It was not a criminal organization. They left intact all the criminal organizations in the Black and brown communities, and they allowed them to control those communities without any oversight, and they continue to do that even today. That's why we have everything is so out of kilter in these communities, because the police are taking money from these drug dealers. So how are they going to police them? These policemen live well here in Chicago. They have big cars, big homes, and they're not funding that off a cop's salary. I don't care what anyone says. I'm a financial planner. I'm a financial advisor. I know how people spend money, and these cops are making too much, living too well off cop salaries in Chicago and around Chicago. Just go to a police station anytime you see the kind of cars they're driving.
Of the 12,000 cops, I don't think there's a large percentage of the 12,000.
Well, you can think that. You can think that.
Possibly,
but that's fine.
Some, but I don't think they're like 1,200. I don't think they're like 500. Do you?
I think. Oh, no
You don't want
question.
me
No
asking
question.
questions, so I
No
won't.
question.
I'll make a
No
statement.
question.
I disagree with you. I
You
don't
can
think of the
disagree, but
12,000
let me
cops,
say this,
there
Jeff.
are a great many doing
Let
what
me
you're
say
saying.
this, Jeff. You disagreed about the shootings last week. You live in a different world than I do. You live in a different reality than I do. I live in reality. You live in a world of perception. I live in a world of reality. And the reality is, yes, cops are on the take. Yes, cops refuse to police. Simple. Because
I
they're
live in a
getting
world
money.
of evidence. Where's your evidence?
My evidence is clear. You see these guys getting busted all the time. You've had over the course of the last 20 years since I've been here, there have been at least 4 incidents where they have gone in and arrested gangs of cops who were taking money, who were extorting money from drug dealers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's clear. All you have to do is
How many
Google
cops
it.
were arrested? 4 instances. How many cops were arrested?
Over the last
Just give me
20
the
years,
number. You
over the
said
last
you
20
knew.
years, at least 100. Over the last 20 years, at least 100.
Over the last 20 years,
Yes.
did you say?
Yes.
Is 20 years at
Whenever
least
they've
100?
had an operation,
Yeah,
what they've had
that would be
operations.
5. That would be 5 a year. 5
That
a year. Is
doesn't
that
make
what you're
any
saying?
difference.
We arrest 5 bad cops a
Let me
year.
say
Is
this.
that right?
It's bigger than that. So you can try to play these games and you're
Well,
distracting
yeah,
from
5 cops a year
the
is not
point.
enough. No, that's
You're
5 cops a year is not
you're
enough to
distracting from the
cover what
point.
you're talking
The point
about. I don't
is
think.
the point is
I'll give
this.
you that.
No, the point is
Assuming you're right.
no, the point is this. When they have an operation, that's what they round up. They haven't had an operation now in over 15 over over 10 years. They haven't had a big operation. But whenever they conduct an operation on criminal activity in the police department, that's what happens. So basically, I said 20 years is probably more like the last time they did it was like mid like 2004 2005. I want to talk about, but it happened, and they rounded up all these gang members. They must have had 40 or 50 gang members that well, it wasn't that many. It's about 30 gang members that had infiltrated the police department.
And who does this? Is this the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Northern District of Illinois, or is this the Chicago Police?
It was the state.
Who's,
I think it was a state
doing the
investigation.
investigating and arresting? What?
Hey, listen,
The state?
you're supposed to be in media. You should know this. You should know that this happened.
What?
You want to talk to me about policing? You should know that this happened. You should know that the police, the Chicago Police Department, the
FBI, I hear what you said.
FBI,
You're not being very specific.
I'm very specific. The FBI said the Chicago Police Department is the most corrupt police department in the country. They're sophisticated.
The FBI said that?
The FBI. Oh, yeah. Google it.
The FBI said that?
Oh, yeah. Their reports.
When did they say that, Charles?
The last time I read
10 years ago?
No, the last time I read it was like 2015. But you need to do your homework. And the bottom line is you want to ask me questions.
My homework, yeah.
You want to ask me questions and don't challenge me. Go do your homework. The bottom line is we have a corrupt police department, and it shows in the criminal that's allowed to fester in the Black community. The bottom line is drugs are prevalent throughout this city, but where are they centered? Where's the killing centered? In the Black communities. Where do people come to get drugs? In the Black communities, because it's allowed to fester. The policing is different in Black neighborhoods than it is white neighborhoods. And we talk about this all the time. Why are Black guys or Black people allowed to drive down the street blaring their music, disrupting the quality of life? They don't do that stuff. The cops don't let you do that stuff in a white neighborhood. You're not going to drive in a white neighborhood with your music blasted and not be pulled over, curbed, ticketed, whatever, your car confiscated. They don't play in white neighborhoods. In Black neighborhoods, they allow the quality of life to diminish. And that's what Trump was talking about when he talked about Elijah Cummings districts. I have said time and time again, every member of the Congressional Black Caucus, every member has a segment or a section in their in their district, in their congressional district, that this is nothing new. I can go down all 44, and I've gone through so far. I've done 25 of the 44 Black congressmen, and I'm documenting this using crimemap.com. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back and I'm going to go back and those others, so I can write the president a letter and say, Mr. President, these are the facts. These congressional districts are worse than war zones. Remember, I told you that the term Chirac was coined on my radio show. And that's a combination of Chicago and Iraq. And the reason that that term was coined was because more people were dying here in Chicago than in Iraq. And I did that every Saturday for about a year.
I'm not disputing any of that. And I'm not disputing or wouldn't dispute that when you look at the 44 congressional districts, if you say that's the number for black congressmen, that you're going to find tremendous waste, and they shouldn't. And I'm not disputing that,
Tremendous
that they
what?
should be more accountable.
Tremendous what?
I think they should be more waste. You should be. There's been billions
I
that
can't
have
hear
been
you.
spent, not just in Congressman Cummings' district,
It's
and
not
many
even
others,
about the
including
money.
whites.
The money is
People, and these folks should be accountable for that, for making sure that that money is better spent.
You're missing
and
the
gets
point.
to the people presumably we're trying to help.
You're missing the
I
point.
agree with you 100%
They're
on
not
that
trying. They don't want to help the people, because if they help the people, then they won't have a problem. Black neighborhoods were not, before integration, before civil rights. Policemen policed black neighborhoods, and you had low crime rates, just like you did in other areas. The police policed, and they and so.
What year are you talking about now? So we're specific. When did we have comparable crime rates?
You're not
in
listening.
the South
You're not
Side
listening.
to
You're not
Winnetka?
listening. You're not listening. So
I don't know the
let's
answer
just
to
move.
this. I don't think they were
on.
much different. I don't think it was a lot safer. It was as safe on the South Side and West Side as it is in Winnetka in, say, 1970. That would be 50 years ago.
You're missing the point. We're talking
I don't
Chicago.
think it was.
We're talking Chicago. We're not talking Winnetka, first of all. We're talking Chicago. Chicago
Oh,
and Winnetka.
so we're just talking the city of Chicago, like Saginaw relative
and
to the
Winnetka.
West Side.
So
Is that what you mean?
you're totally
Beverly relative to some other areas.
You're totally deflecting. You're totally deflecting from the real issue. Winnetka is an upscale community in its own city, and we're talking about Chicago, and you want to talk about Winnetka. That would be like talking about Detroit. That would be talking about. Yeah,
I would
what
say
you're talking about. What you're talking about is
safer in Saginaw and Beverly
what you're talking
than it is
about.
in Inglewood
What you're talking.
in 1970. What?
Say that again.
I said, if you want to go back to 1970, I'm saying it was safer in Saginaw, which is in Chicago, safer in Beverly, which is in Chicago, was in Inglewood, and so forth.
We're
Although
talking
Inglewood
about
was probably safer then than it is now.
factor in.
But you still had areas of Chicago that were much less safe than other areas. This
is the problem with that, because you eliminate. You want to compare apples and oranges. And that's why we have such a screwed up society today, because people like yourself.
I'm trying to be helpful.
Because you're not being helpful. Because people like yourself, you want to compare. Let me just share this with the listeners. Hey, people. See, Beverly is an upscale area, professionals, etc. It's not working class, blue collar. Now we compare white collar and blue collar white areas with blue collar black areas. You'd find that the crime rates were pretty much the same. That's the analogy. Not comparing an upscale area.
Upscale? What are they? Upscale cops and upscale firemen? Is that what you're telling me?
Listen. Exactly.
Those communities. That's police and firemen. Those are upscale guys.
That's right. And when they have those enclaves, see, don't try to placate me, man. Because at the end of the day, Jeff, I run circles around you. The bottom line is those cops and those firemen put special emphasis on their neighborhood, just like they do in Park Ridge, which is Chicago. You don't have a lot of crime in Park Ridge because you have cops and firemen living there. Same deal. So when you have like people, like incomes, like professions, in the 60s, the 50s, the crime was about the same in white neighborhoods and black neighborhoods.
You want to cut the BS and get to the root of the problem? I'll do that. Let's cut it. Let's get to the root of the problem, Charles. Okay, we're beating around the bush here. Can we do that?
Well, you just diverted into this, Beverly, comparing Beverly.
Let me just get to the root of the problem. Can I change a little bit?
How crazy is that?
I won't ask you a question. I'll answer your question. Okay. Can I do that?
Do it.
The root of the problem for the inner city, and especially for the African American community, black community, is that their schools are terrible. CPS is terrible. especially, it's 80% minority. Okay. So, except for a few, maybe 80% minority. If you want to get to the root of the problem, you start improving the quality of those schools. You start improving the quality of that education. And how do you do that, Charles? You give the control of those schools back to the parents, okay? You have school vouchers. We spend $17,000 per kid per year. Let the parents decide where the kids go to school. If some new school wants to arise and say they can teach better than the CPS, let them do that. And then 10, 15 years, Charles, you're going to have what you're talking about. Like areas, you're going to have educated people.
First of all,
doing well,
they're not
and crime will go down. Until then, Charles, it ain't going to get any better.
See, that, to me,
you didn't even ask the question.
To me,
I
that's a liberal.
I asked the question and answered.
To me, that's a total academic, liberal approach to a very serious problem. The problem is a lot deeper than education. Well, all we do is talk about education. That's bull. Because when my parents came along, people didn't have an education, but they were decent people. They were law-abiding people. They were Christian people. They had morals and they had values. The problem in the Black community today, and I experienced this just 2 days ago. This ghetto chick came to my building, parked in the driveway, blocked my car in for 15 minutes. I didn't say a word. I didn't say a word to her. I wasn't, I wasn't in a hurry. So I didn't say anything. I just sat on my car and waited for this car to move. I didn't know whose car it was. So the security person saw me sitting out there and she came out and called a woman, told her she needed to move her car. So the woman came out, a little black woman, about 4'8", about 180 pounds. And she says, so when the security guard walked back in the car and I was walking to get in my car, the lady said to me, well, all you had to do was back your car up and go around. See, that's the kind of mentality that these ghetto people bring to decent people. And that's why decent Black folks don't live in these communities anymore. That's why decent Black people don't live in Inglewood and these other communities, because you have people in those communities who have no values, low values, and they're ghetto. This woman is downtown calling me a wannabe white man because I live downtown and I speak the King's English and these other things. And I told her that's why I don't live around people like you. I was very clear about that. Okay. And she got that. But I had to call the police on this woman, and you have to understand, all she had to do, she had been asked to get in her car and leave. Get in her car and leave. She was blocking the driveway. She did not want to do it. Charles, that's the kind of nonsense that we
know. So what you're saying is the culture, number one. Let me address it. Let me address it succinctly. Put aside education. You want a sooner problem than 10 years. You want to solve it like today, this week, this month. You want it to be safer, right? So the mayor goes, as you may know, on drive-alongs or ride-alongs, okay? But they don't take her to the right areas. So Friday morning, the Moms Against Senseless Killings walk into Lightfoot's office. What is it? Today's Thursday, tomorrow morning. And they say, here, we want you coming out to the tough parts. We want you to come out where the gangbangers are. We want you out there a lot. We want you to see some killings, because that's what we deal with. That's my neighborhood, they would say. And say, come on out there. And maybe she would. And maybe when she saw a few of these moms get shot or their kids get shot in midday, maybe then she's going to say, maybe we have to do something different. Maybe we better, increase the firepower. Maybe we ought to call in the National Guard and train them.
The National Guard is not
okay.
The National Guard can never do it.
Hey, make it safe as Saginaw and Beverly, make it this week. And you know what? If you start shooting, you're right. If you start shooting at the gangbangers, they're not freaking stupid. They're going to find something else to do. Now, find a way to do that within the law, Charles, and it can't be done within the law. And then you would be doing something instead of saying I'm being theoretical or something. Okay, I'm not theoretical. I'm down with the nitty gritty. I'm not talking about the problem you have with somebody, blocking the driveway.
That's the bigger problem.
I'm talking about two mothers who were shot and killed and are dead.
That is not a big deal. That is not a big deal. You don't get it. That is not a big deal.
Two people
today.
being shot and
No,
killed
it's
is not a big deal.
No, it's not.
It is to me, Charles.
It may be to us.
Who's
to
the
you.
black guy
I keep
here?
telling you. I keep
okay.
telling you. You live in a different world. This is nothing. That happened on a Friday. It didn't show up in the paper until Tuesday or Wednesday.
Absolutely, and I'm outraged.
It's not a big
and they
deal.
should be standing out the Chicago Tribune door and saying, "WTF? What are you doing?
Hey,
How
man.
did it take 5 days?" It became a story when on Sunday they had two people over in East Garfield Park, 4 kids, young kids, being shot at from another car.
Well,
this time they were lucky and they were only grazed and nobody died.
Stop.
Now it made a story
Jeff,
2 days later on Tuesday in the Tribune.
Jeff,
Go over to the editor-in-chief there and say, WTF, you've got more about Trump and racism than you do about, the shootings that are killing the people right here.
I need you to stop.
Because
what people forget and they don't get is that Lori Lightfoot was head of the police oversight, whatever, board or whatever. Now, Laquan McDonald.
I know that.
I'm talking to the people.
Go ahead.
Laquan McDonald did not surface until, and the whole issue of Laquan McDonald and the 16 shots, the only reason that became a story was because of a black reporter who kept asking for the information and the FOIA request. If it weren't for this black,
the white reporter too,
it would work for this black reporter persistently dogging the CPD for the Laquan information. It would not have been a story. And the only reason that the white guy got involved was because he's looking at a Pulitzer. The black guy ain't looking at a Pulitzer. He's at some Rothschild outfit on the South Side.
Jamie, and I'm blanking on his last name, but I think you'd find, Jamie?
Say again. Hello?
Yeah. Do you know Jamie, the white guy you were just telling me didn't do much?
No, he got involved after the black guy is the one who really pressed the Laquan McDonald thing. This guy, the white guy, he saw an opportunity to get a Pulitzer pursuing this thing. But the black guy is the one who put in the work and who had death threats because he was trying to get that information from the CPD. And like I said,
I want that guy on my show. I want that guy on my TV show. I want you to introduce me to that black guy. I want that guy on my show.
It's like this. It's like they give all this credit to these white guys for the lunar trajectories and the lunar hookup. It was really a black woman who did the lunar the coordination for the lunar module and the command module. It was a black woman who did that calculation. I'm reading the paper this week in USA Today, and they got some white boy sitting there. But I know
they made a movie about her. I saw that movie about that black woman.
I ain't talking about no damn movie. I'm talking about the facts. The facts are just this week they got a white boy giving a white boy credit for doing those calculations, and that was a black woman who NASA credits for specifically writing the code or the calculations for rendezvousing the lunar
aside from the
command module.
I'm missing your point. Aside from who got the credit for exposing the Laquan McDonald story, aside from who got the credit, what was your point? I'm missing your whole.
The point is it would not have been reported. My point is it was gone. So you're talking about you're talking about this story that happened that the 2 women getting shot on Friday that didn't come in the paper till Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not a big deal in the black community. People are getting killed all the time, man. It's not a big deal.
Well, so Laquan McDonald was only a big deal because why? It was a big deal. Obviously, it cost the mayor the mayorship.
It was only a big deal because of the.
It was a big effing deal.
It was only a big deal because it was swept under the rug, and it only became public because of this black reporter hounding CPD for the information for the videotape, and he had death threats. He was totally upset. He was scared for his life because people were calling him, threatening his life. You need to let this go. That's what they call him in the middle of the night. You need to let this go.
But he didn't let it go, and it became a big deal. And eventually it was dealt with.
And he He didn't even get it. He doesn't even get
It
any
didn't
credit.
bring
You know what it kind of
McDonald
reminds
back,
me of? This is
but
what it
it did
reminds me of.
remove
Hey,
Rahm from being mayor. That's for damn sure, right?
Stop. That's petty. The bottom line is this reminds me of Watergate. The man who broke who broke the scandal, who caught the Watergate burglars, was a man named Frank Wilson or Williams. Frank Williams, I think his name was. That man died in poverty. He died in poverty because he busted the Watergate burglars. He could not get a job anywhere because he busted the Watergate burglars. He should have been given an accommodation.
Sometimes life is unjust, Charles.
Unjust my ass.
Charles, sometimes
Unjust
you
my
know,
ass.
and
Unjust my ass.
sometimes life is
Hey, man, I
unjust.
don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. No, I want to hear that bullshit. That's bullshit to me. The bottom line is there are too many. It's just like this young
life
reporter.
Is unjust sometimes?
It's just like this young black reporter. This young black reporter should be given a job at a major paper, whether it's the Tribune, the New York Times, the LA Times. He should be given a job as an investigative reporter at a major outlet. But he won't be. He'll
come on my show. Have him come on my show, and maybe we'll do that. Or maybe we'll do that for him. Okay? I'm serious, okay? I'm not fooling around with you.
I hear you. Hey, look, man, we got 10 minutes on the whole show, but
why don't we do that?
It's taking a long time. So I hope
what are we gonna do?
I hope you enjoyed being on. I'm going to segue into cover a couple other topics.
Okay.
But this was good.
It was great. Thank you very much.
And
I hope I didn't bother you too. I hope I didn't irritate you.
Hey, man, it was good. It's all good. It's all radio.
You're breaking up every other word. So
I said it's all radio. Can you hear me?
I hope they heard us. You were kind of breaking up on me.
No,
now I can hear it, but I'm losing every other word. So
you're still losing every other word?
Just lost you again.
You're still losing every other word?
Yeah. So
I don't know what's going on. Let's see.
Now
you're still losing every other word.
I could hear you most of the time before.
Okay, good.
No, I just heard that. I just heard you say, yeah, that I heard.
Anyway, so look, we're gonna.
But you kind of go quiet on me. Okay.
We're gonna
let you go.
Yeah, we're gonna segue out of here and do another segment. I got a couple other things to do. But hey, thanks, Jeff, for coming on, man. It was great.
Let me let you go. Give me a call after so you can tell me how I can do this better next time. Okay.
All right, man. Be good. Jeff Berkowitz.
Thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it. Take care.
Jeff Berkowitz, folks. Hey, check him out at Illinois TV channel. I am going to leave the lines open, but probably won't take any calls. There is a lot going on. I'm not going to talk so much about the debates because, everybody's talking about the debates. Who cares? All they did last, who won in the debates? You know what I say? President Trump. Who won in the debates? Trump. Hello. Who won? Trump. Sorry. They, I don't know if they get it or not, that people are going to go out and vote for President Trump. It's a given. And I don't care how much Democrats cry and call him a racist and a bigot and a misogynist and all these other things. They don't stick. Like I told a buddy of mine, he's calling Trump a grabber and this. I say, hey, man, why are you wasting your time? This is really boring. It's really boring. Let's talk about something of substance. This is boring. Hey, I hope that we're coming across loud and clear out there for you. I can see the meters here working. So hope you can hear us and not every other word. But, the internet is all jacked up on my end. So that's why I'm up here on what we call the sunroof. And I'm just going to show you the view. See that? That's part of the view. That's see that banner? And there's a plane going across. That's the lake. That's Lake Michigan. That's Lake Michigan. Over here is what is that? That's the Wrigley Building. That's the Wrigley Building, Michigan Avenue. That's the Michigan Street Bridge going across the river. See it down there? Let's see. Yeah, that's the Michigan Street Bridge. Yeah. Hey, that's Trump Tower right there. That's Trump Tower, that big building. It's Trump Tower. Yeah. Trump Tower. Okay, so we'll come back to me. Hey, so man, it was. I tell you, when you really start looking at these issues, you start breaking these issues down. It's not education that's going to turn around the black community. It's a cultural thing. Education has to be part of it. You don't get an education at school necessarily. You get home, you do homework. I had a young man call me once when I was at VON, and he said, Mr. Butler, I didn't learn to read when I was in CPS. And yeah, he goes on and on and on. I said, well, it's really interesting. I don't remember ever being told that we're going to put our books down and we're going to pick up Jane and Dick and we're going to read from Jane and Dick. I say, yeah, that didn't happen. Like after the, second or third grade, that didn't happen. You learn to read at home. You read at home. Today, you have parents who allow their children to play video games. They don't have homework. Oh, they have too much homework, so they can't have any fun when they get home. Hell, they need to be working. They need to be studying. Those Asian students, that's why they're running circles around American students. They come home, they have a dinner, they get in those books for 2 or 3 hours, and I mean get in those books hard. Then they sit down with their parents, and they tell their parents what they've learned. The parents go over their homework. How many of you that are parents go over your child's homework every night? How many of you ask about your child's homework or what they've done in school? How many? You have to ask yourself that. That has become an American cultural thing. And they talk about it all the time. There are numerous articles out here about it. I'm just saying. I wish it were different. I'm just saying, hey, don't blame me. Don't kill the messenger. We got about 6 more minutes. 6 more minutes to go. And, I just wanted to share that with you. It's always. Now, there's a young man that I thought had something interesting to say. Andrew Yang. And he said, this is why President Trump is president. Let's listen to Mr. Yang.
If you've heard anything about me and my campaign, you've heard that someone is running for president who wants to give every American $1,000 a month. I know this is an idea from Thomas Paine to Martin Luther King to today. Let me tell you why we need to do.
See, I couldn't record this before I got to you, so that it's buffering. I'm trying to play it off of the website. It's buffering because the speed's too slow on the internet connection I have. But yeah, Andrew Yang, he's the man who said he wanted to give something like that. Won't work. Not enough money to go around, but it's man, those Democrats, boy, I tell you, they were tickling me last night. And they were serious too, man. They gave each other some serious stares. And what did Corey Brooks tell Joe Biden? Hey, you are dipping in my Kool-Aid and you don't even know what flavor it is. Ooh. I was like, what the hell does that mean? I mean, these guys are too much. Wow, you dip it in my Kool-Aid and you don't even know what flavor. Woo, Lord, somebody help me. And don't tell me out there, folks, to call on somebody. Don't call on strangers, okay? I know you have to say, Charles, you don't know anything about the Lord. Don't call on strangers, boy. Some of my friends would say, stay cool. Stay cool. Anyway, I hate to do that. I hate that. So, as we get ready to round the show up, it's always fun to, end with, on a positive note, end with some that you can think about that you'd like to chat about. Because tomorrow we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is Boris Johnson. And now that he's PM, man, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's like having Trump on steroids. With President Trump, though, just announced a new 10% tariff on the Chinese imports starting September. This boy is not playing. Now so Trump is vindicated pretty much in the uh, Mueller issue. So now they want to try to bring back Stormy Daniels, and they said 5 police officers face a disciplinary action over the arrest of Stormy Daniels. What did they do? Cop a feel? Interesting. Tick, tick, tick. Oh man, it's amazing with these porno stars or what do they call themselves? Adult industry stars, what they're doing these days. Amazing. John Dillinger. Relatives have said that the wrong body is in the grave. It's not really John Dillinger. Well, we'll know in a few weeks. Is it Dillinger or is it not? Oh, man, you can't make this stuff up. I wish you could, but you can't. You can't make this stuff up. This is, I read today, the Chicago Tribune, and they were talking about Dillinger's coffin and his grave and how difficult it would be to exhume him and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they're going to do it anyway. So, regardless of the difficulty, they're going to do it anyway. So I think that's interesting. Hey, but look, let's do this. We're going to leave and we'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have that internet hooked up and we can bring you the show that you deserve. Have a good one. Thanks so much for listening to us. We really appreciate you. And we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place.